Oh, but these guys. So the court has chastised our Minister of Finance and officially reversed the zero point 0.5 VAT. So in this video, I'm going to show you, we're going to read about that a little bit. And I really beg you this time to get to the end, because by the end of this, you will see just the seriousness of this. In my last video, we were joking about it because it was very funny, but I'm going to show you the seriousness of this for our country and try to have a heart-to-heart with you, which I hope you will share with every South African believer, because it's our only chance to ever see our country turning around. So if you're ready to go on a project to turn our country around, then please press like and let's go in. So you remember how when the court case went horribly wrong for the Minister of Finance, he then, realizing he was going to lose the battle, quickly sent a cancellation of the 15% VAT hike. And everybody went, phew. And I remember in the video I said, do we stop? Do we not stop? And so one of our viewers asked me, what do you mean? The ministers told us that it's reversed. No, so here was the problem with this, is that we have separation of powers, which we gave to civilization from Deuteronomy chapter 17. Thank you very much, you should say. And we say, it's a pleasure. So is that, this is how we structured. We have the Constitution being the boss, and then we have Parliament. Where's Parliament? We have Parliament, the legislative branch, which actually passes laws. Then we have the executive, where the president and ministers and cabinet are. That's where the GNU is. They get to execute. They can't make laws. And so when the minister announces a 0.5, it's only when we saw them clapping and say, yeah, we got the 0.5 up. But now he can't just come and say, oopsie daisy, it's changed. So this media statement we saw was literally the minister saying, oh, guys, ignore what Parliament said, right? Because we never saw them vote to say the 0.5 is cancelled. So actually, the minister had put us in a position as citizens of saying, oopsie daisy, what I said, and then Parliament voted on and they clapped, forget about that. He was literally asking all 60 million of us to ignore Parliament. So great thing that happened is that the court came out on time, because obviously they were aware that this is not how it works. So the Western Cape High Court reversed the 0.5 VAT increase. But I want to show you something that no one talks about and will probably miss. So they've dealt another blow after scrapping it by an order. Now, you and I, when we don't pay 15.5% VAT on the 1st of May, right now we're standing on a solid footing. There is an order of court that says we can ignore when the parliamentarians were clapping, because we can't just have King Godongwana only just telling us what the VAT is and we just do it. Okay, so the court order was made on Sunday because the DA and the EFF went to cancel it, because they said the framework that contained the VAT hike was wrong. I spoke about it in a live video that's up here, and you can actually get to watch the dumb Action SA argument in the parliamentary committee. And the DA and EFF parliamentarian, Sinawo Tambo, and the DA parliamentarian were saying, but you're talking nonsense. Either you're accepting the VAT or you're not. And they kept saying, we are, but we have proposals. And they said, there's nothing legal here about a proposal. You either accepting it or not. And they pushed through and accepted it. So the court says the Minister of Finance's announcement, which was empowered by that, where he adjusted VAT, and he said it will take effect on this and this, is suspended. When can it come back on? If Parliament says so and votes on it. So they also overturned the resolution of the fiscal framework. It's the one that's in that live video because it was a dumb argument. They were saying, I'm voting for the bucket, which is the fiscal framework, but I'm not voting for the water in the budget, which is the 0.5% VAT. So that's nonsense. If you pick up the bucket, you pick up the water. So the court has said, forget all of that. So that means the budget goes back to zero. So it says the resolutions of the National Assembly, that's Parliament, and the Council of Provinces, to accept the fiscal framework are set aside. So the whole budget is reversed. This is the important part. Godongwana and Togotitiza, who's the head of Parliament, and Refile Mtsweri-Tsipane, who's the head of the National Council of Provinces, have been ordered to pay 50% of the legal costs. No, this is wrong reporting. This is what the judgment says. It says, Godongwana, you will pay 50% of the legal costs of the DA and the EFF, and you, the Parliament guys, will pay the other 50%. So basically, the court order says to the DA and to the EFF, this court proceedings for you were free. These guys must pay. Now, when a court does a court order, because this never gets reported, the judges are basically saying, I'm sorry, guys, that you had to come to court. So you will not pay a cent of your court proceedings. They actually saying, I'm sorry you had to bring these fools to court, because the court could have said each one pays or pay a bit or pay nothing or whatever it is. So a court makes a court order to make an extra statement that literally says, I'm sorry about this fool that forced you to come to court. I'm sorry about these fools, DA. I'm sorry about these fools, EFF. And I'm not using fool in an insulting way. I'm using it in its dictionary definition, and I'm using it according to its biblical definition. So the courts are saying, sorry about these fools, DA. Sorry about these fools, EFF. You don't have to pay a cent. Now, this is what the Bible says in Proverbs 19. That's my biblical reaction. And then I'm going to make my heart to heart to you. It says, blessed is a poor man who walks honestly. I mean, we've watched them lie and lie and lie. Who walks in his integrity, than one who is a liar, perverse in his lips, but on top of that, and is a fool. To have no money than to be a fool or a liar or to have no integrity. So the costs is the court saying these people are fools, they are perverse in their lips, and they have no integrity. So when the court could have still found against them and said, everybody pay your costs, that's the court saying, we see why this debate came up, and we're glad you came to us to clarify it. But now the court says you pay everything. You, DA, and you, EFF, didn't have to come to court to get this done. And it's not the first or the last time, because the ANC loses many cases and gets costs against them. No one talks about the costs, but the costs are the court speaking very, very loud, right? Why do they always do foolish things? Here's something that Proverbs 9:10 says. It says, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and the knowledge of the Holy One is understanding. Now, understand this. I'm not saying the ANC should go to church and read their Bible and and pray every day. That's the fear of the Lord goes further than that. Fear of the Lord is literally a realization that I'm not God. What do I mean by that? It's the reason why I won't jump from my balcony, because I kind of realize I'm not God, and gravity is not subject to my thoughts. It will do what it does because I didn't make gravity. So someone bigger and greater created the earth. So all I can do is operate throughout its principles, and I learn over time by trial and error what works and what doesn't, and I try to stick to the principles that seem to work right, because I realize I can't create earth. I can only live in it and then learn how to live in it successfully. Now, comrades, revolutionaries, fighters believe they are God. The reason why they jump over principles, economic principles, they will run with BEE 20 years after it's proven not to work and say the same thing they said in 2008, because these people believe they are God. They believe they can force Earth to do what they believe is right, instead of looking and saying, this is not working, okay, let's back off, let's see what could work. They'll talk about this transformation garbage while they see that millions of people are just getting on grants, unemployed, living in shacks, struggling, and you can talk about these facts forever. You can't talk facts to a person who believes they are God. They don't believe they must operate within the world we have, because they are busy with transformation to create some world they believe they can, which has never worked. And as it's failing and failing and failing, they keep repeating the same garbage. The worst thing is that the believers have fallen for it, because what Marxism does is this. So most believers believe in right and wrong, good or bad, succeeding or failing, that morality. And unfortunately, us as black believers in South Africa separate this. So what we do is we keep our normal morality for every subject and every topic, and as soon as they bring in their racial identity politics and start talking black and white, we drop it. Why? Because they open your eyes and you will be like God. What does that mean? It means you're no longer subject to the fear of the Lord that says, I didn't create earth, so the way to get things done on earth don't depend on me. It depends on me aligning with principles that work. So you will be like God, knowing good and evil. What does that mean? Having a new morality. Why do you think the ANC gets away with stealing, with lying, with all of that in a country made up of 85% Christians? Because black Christians have turned their face on the morality that comes from this earth was created by God. And so The black Christians who support BEE, it's because they're on the black-white morality, no longer on the good-bad, working or not working morality. The black Christians who vote for the ANC, the EFF, the MK, it's because when it comes to politics, they turn their heads against God and good and evil. There is no Christian in a billion years who could vote for Jacob Zuma. There is no Christian in a million years who could vote for Julius Malema. Come on, be honest. I know you may just feel emotional and be angry, but let me speak to you as a prophet of God. There is no Christian who can vote for Cyril Ramaphosa unless they've taken on a new morality that says it's no longer good and evil. It's not God and the devil. It's not our shacks growing or our jobs growing. No, throw that morality out. It becomes, is it black people or white people? And then they get to steal you. They don't just divide blacks and whites, they also divide believers and their God. So please, I'm begging you, next elections, please just leave comrades. You go choose your choice, but go choose ACDP, IFP, Freedom Front, DA, just everyone except comrades, because what's the difference is that comrades, by their Marxists, that's why the language is about struggle and our people and the injustices of the past and transformation and the land issue and also all that stuff is just brainwashing. They repeat it a million times so that by the end of it, you've forgotten your God. And you no longer vote as a Christian, you vote as a black. But you know that who made you black. It wasn't Karl Marx, it wasn't Mercuzio, it wasn't Julius Malema, it wasn't Jacob Zuma, it wasn't Cyril Ramaphosa. Jehovah made you black. And you can't like say stay by the side. Now we're dealing with political issues. It can't work like that. Please, I beg you on God's behalf, please don't turn your back against your God once it's time for politics. Because someone has opened your eyes and said you'll be like God. You will make BEE work. Even though you see the shacks are growing, the crooks are growing. It's just all going wrong. The jobs are disappearing. The money's getting tighter. And they tell you, yes, the job is inequality. No, it's not. The job is poverty. I don't care who has how much money. They're even scripting you to think enviously. I don't care who has how much money. I just care about one thing. I don't want to see a shack. I don't. I just don't want to see a shack. And the person's in a shack because they don't work, so they can't work towards buying their own house. That's what believers care about. That's what believers care. And I know I'm saying one sentence, but please press the subscribe button, look for the bell, and at least watch the other videos. I'll get to explain more what I just said, because I can't just saying it in passing, because we've been brainwashed with this inequality transformation. It's all garbage. Trust me, it's devilish talk. It's deceit. That's the voice of a snake saying, I'm opening your eyes so you will be like God to try an impossible project, and it's built on a new morality, no longer good, evil, good, bad. So I'm asking you, please, if you know any believer please share the link of this video with them. And when you're done sharing it with them, I'd like to show you another more powerful way that you can help us get the message out. We've heard most of you are saying to us, oh man, if you could get this information out to people far and wide. Well, you can help us to do exactly that. Exactly that. Surely the arm of the Lord is not too short to save, or his ears too dull to hear. But your iniquities have separated you from God. Your sins have hidden his face from you so that he will not hear. Why? For your hands are stained with blood, your fingers with guilt. Why? Because you've spoken falsely. You've been taught to speak about all these injustices of the past, and it managed to hook you because you looked at your skin and said, they said blacks. Oh, that's me. They're talking for me. They're not. They are liars. They are children of Satan who hold to a philosophy of a Satanist, which was then passed down. Second version of it was taught to destroy families, destroy religion, destroy the church, and destroy, then that's their way of destroying the world. That's the plan. And they decided that the people we will use are blacks, gays, women, and immigrants, to then finally get to what the devilish vision of Karl Marx was, which is to destroy society. Your lips have spoken falsely, your tongue mutters wicked things. No one calls for justice. No one pleads a case with integrity. They rely on empty arguments like, so you are saying we must forget apartheid. That's an empty argument. So you are turning against black people. Empty argument. Who's paying you to say these things? Empty argument. They utter lies. They conceive trouble and give birth to evil. They hatch the eggs of vipers and spin a spider's web. Whoever eats their eggs will die. Your own black cousins are unemployed. Your own black extended family members are living in shacks. Rain is coming through the shacks. Your own black friends got degrees, they are unemployed, and you are busy spewing the garbage that put them there. When no one is there, cops are useless for clothing, they cannot cover themselves, their deeds are evil. The acts and acts of violence are in that you are voting for the people who stole the money of your own black family members, and you are trying a corrupt tender. You never got involved with stealing. You never got involved with envelopes under the table. You grew up in church crying, we give you all the glory, bribing people, because you fell for the devil's trap of the injustices of the past. And I don't judge you. I fell for it too at some point, until I realized they pursue evil schemes. They talk about land for the disenfranchised. No, that's not the point. It's an evil scheme. Acts of violence mark their ways. And because they give you a new morality, even when it happens next door, and you see how Zimbabweans live here struggling, it's because they were saying 20 years ago what you are repeating today. Injustices of the past, revolution, to help the black majority, the oppressive white man. That's what they were saying. That's why they're here working for free with no rights. The way of peace they don't know. There's no justice in their parts. They've turned it into crooked roads. No one who walks along them will know peace. Everyone who has said what ANC, EFF, MK is saying ended up broken, hungry. But I want to ask you as our viewer, if you watching this far, then thank you. And I want to thank you. We have the Prosperity Catalyst Fund to try and get, we have a book called Three Things Comrades Don't Want You to Know. And I've seen many comments say, put it in various languages, and we'll do that. So I ask you to go down to the description and see what you can do to help us get this message out far and wide, to get it into rural areas. Catch them while they're young. The 18, 19-year-olds will listen. The older grandmas and grandpas will not listen. They don't know what they're voting for, but they are becoming a minority every single year. The young people are becoming the majority. So help us to educate our country, because the only way to win this battle is that we educate our population. And so when you're faced with something like this, you can either do nothing, everything stays the same, or you can do what you need to do on your own, and that's fine. Please do whatever you can to save our country. Or you can jump on the opportunity. I'm here, I'm committed, I know how to do it. I've sold multiple platinums and gold platinum albums to this population. I know how to get information across to them in a way that shifts society. I've made stars starting with nothing, from unknown to a star in South Africa. I know how to shift things in this population. I know how to get messaging in a way that gets the whole population to accept something. All we need is for you to help us with that. So go down and check. And you might not want to get on that big project and you say, but I want to help you. Well, I want to thank you for those of you who have gotten involved with the Prosperity Pledge to just help us to keep doing this and putting the videos out, because that's one way we're going for it. But the other way is to go out to the population and just get all of South Africa to realize we've been had, we've been bamboozled. Because no man can serve two masters, because either he'll love the one and hate the other, or he'll despise the one and respect the other. Please, 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 Black Christians, you can't serve God and the God of comrades. You can't serve God and the God of fighters. You can't serve God and the God of revolutionaries. You have to pick a lane. And yes, these are not political parties. They are pseudo-religious cults. Today, I'm not trying to convince you. I'm just reaching out to your heart. It breaks my heart every time I see someone unemployed. It breaks my heart when I see the crime and I know where it comes from. It breaks my heart when I see people poor. Please, I'm just asking you, even if you don't do it forever, how about just for the next vote? Promise me you won't vote for a revolutionary, a comrade, or a fighter. If you say yes, please comment below and say yes, I will not. I'm literally just begging for one vote. Just the next national vote, I'm just begging for that. Pick any of the parties, but not a comrade, not a revolutionary, not a fighter. Those people follow an evil religion that hates your family, hates you as an individual, whether you're black or white, hates you as an individual, hates your family, and they're going for it. They do Bella Bill. How do they pass it? They say no, it's about Afrikaans and whites. No. They're trying to make sure that you as a mother, you as a father, are not in charge of what's happening with your child, because that's their pseudo religion. They're trying to end up with a socialist and communist state where the government is God. I think I've said all I can say, so let's make history together.